What's up, guys? Welcome to episode 2 of The Excellent Way. Of course, I'm Coach B, and I'm here with Marka, and today we are going to talk about our first challenge of 2020.
Yeah, so for this challenge, we wanted to really make sure we were developing good habits to start the year off. So we took our 5 roots of living an excellent life: the eat, sleep, train, think, and connect. And we took a piece of each of those roots, and that's how we kind of came up with our 4 rules for the challenge.
Yep.
So the first one, eat. We decided the rule is drink half your body weight in ounces of water per day. The only exception was black coffee or black tea.
Yeah.
So why?
Unsweetened tea.
Or unsweetened tea. So for some people, not an issue. Others, like me, that is a lot of water.
Yeah. So yeah, the idea behind that is that we kind of get in this groove of drinking a lot of calories. And so by having to focus on drinking water or, black coffee or unsweetened tea, we stop drinking calories. Liquid calories are fine if you need the extra calories, but most of us don't need that. And so it helps pull us away from those excess calories that we don't realize we're drinking, that end up, like, our diet is all in line, and then all of a sudden we have a drink that has 150, 200, 300 calories in it, and it puts us over, and then we get stuck and we're like, why am I not losing weight? And a lot of times that's it, it's the things that we drink, right? So like if you have a coffee, but you've got cream and sugar in it, well, now that black coffee that, an average black coffee has 5 calories, well, now that 5-calorie coffee has 250, and you don't even realize it. And so that puts you over. So we bias back towards staying away from that kind of thing. Also, a lot of people are more dehydrated than they think they are. And so, like, we get to that point where we're like, oh man, I need a coffee. And a lot of times really what it is your body's just so depleted of water that you get that fatigue. One of the first symptoms of dehydration is fatigue. So you feel tired and you think, okay, caffeine will wake me up. And then you drink 17 cups of coffee and nothing has happened.
Right.
So by drinking the water, it'll help relieve some of that fatigue feeling. Plus, you're more hydrated for your workouts. Your body feels better. You actually end up sleeping better because you're not dehydrated going into sleep. So it's just all around better.
Does the peeing ever go away?
Eventually, yes.
Okay. There's an end in sight, people. All right. So our second rule for the challenge had to do with sleep and the no snooze button, or setting multiple alarms. So basically, we're challenging everyone to get up as soon as their alarm goes off. And again, for some people, not an issue. Others, this has been huge.
Yeah.
People love their snooze button. So
the snooze button habit is just that. It's a habit. And it's a habit that we've allowed ourselves to get into. And the reason this one's important is actually there's 2 things. One is actually physiological, like your internal chemistry, and the other is more like mental success, right? So the first one, the physiological one, so the more we start to understand how sleep affects the brain and the rest of the body and things like that, we've come to the point where we understand that a sleep cycle lasts about 90 minutes. So when you lay down and you finally start to drift into sleep, it takes about 90 minutes to go from stage 1 to stage 4 and then back out of sleep, right? And that's like, light sleep, REM sleep, rapid eye movement sleep, which is where we thought all the restful stuff happens. It's not. It's actually in deep sleep where the restful stuff happens, which is down in stage 4, and you come back out. So your alarm goes off and it pulls you out of that cycle wherever you're at, which is fine. We can deal with that. Our body can deal with that. What happens though is when you push the snooze button and you go back to bed, you don't pick up where you left off. You have to restart that whole sleep cycle. So now you're going to hit that snooze button and you should be now back in bed for another 90 minutes. Well, most of us don't do that. Our snooze button is like 7 minutes or some random number,
yeah.
Right? Or 10 or I've heard 14.
That's an odd one.
Weird.
That's a long one.
Yeah. But so then what happens is that alarm goes off. You get up and you hit the snooze again, and you get up and you hit snooze again. And what happens is it puts you in something called sleep inertia, where you're coming down, popping out, coming down, popping out, coming down, popping out. And so your brain actually has a response like it's drunk, like you've had too much to drink. So that's why, even with all those snooze buttons, you feel so groggy. And the thing that finally pulls you out of bed is that sense of panic of, oh crap, I'm going to be late, right? So now you've gone from drunk to panicked.
Not a good.
Just a horrible mix of feelings to start your day with, right? A horrible mix of chemistry. So that's just not a good way to start your day. Whereas if you get up and hit, shut the alarm off and like do something, you don't have to pop out of bed and be ready for the day. Like my alarm goes off and I'm still groggy, but I try to just stand there and like try to move,
And something you do that helped was you moved your alarm across the room. So you physically have to get out of bed to go even hit the snooze button if you wanted to. Yeah, so that's a big thing too, is move your alarm away from your bed, move it across the room so you have to actually get up. Now it's still easy to like get up, shut it off, and dive back into bed. So like what I do is I'll get up, I'll shut the alarm off, and then I'll go over and I'll actually make my half of the bed. Like not fully, but I'll pull the covers up. It's totally true. Right? He makes the bed while I'm still in it. So, but the bed is now made. I'm not getting back in bed, so that's like kind of a mental cue, right? And now I can like kind of stumble my way to the bathroom, turn on the lights, turn on the shower, like actually start to wake myself up. So like people are like, I just can't jump out of bed. Well, nobody really jumps out of bed, It takes a few minutes, especially if you're pulling yourself out of deep sleep like that. Like it takes a few minutes for your brain to catch up what's going on and get your body moving. So that's the physiological. The mental one is by hitting the snooze button, you're setting a precedence for procrastination and failure. Okay? So mentally, when you hit the snooze button, you're now pushing off the very first thing that you have to do for the day, which is get out of bed. The alarm goes off, that should be get out of bed. That should be the cue, right? So the alarm goes off, I hit the snooze button. I don't want to yet. I hit the snooze button. I don't want to yet. Okay, so you're procrastinating the start of your day. So you're starting your day off with all that bad chemistry and the mental attitude of, I'm going to push everything off. So there's the procrastination. And you're setting yourself up. The first task of the day is get out of bed, and you've failed to do that. Whereas if you get up, get out of bed, shut off your alarm, and start your day, you've now started the day on time, on schedule, and you've won the first task of the day. It seems so minuscule, but mentally, it's a building block for the rest of the day. If you check that off the list, and there's another, look it up, there's Admiral McRaven, I think is his name, did a speech in 2008 at the University of Texas, like a commencement speech, and he's written a book since. It's called Make Your Bed. And it's if you want to change the world, start by making your bed, because you've completed the first task of the day. Well, the first task of the day is really actually getting out of bed, and then that's why I started making the bed. So I get out of bed, and then I make the bed. Check. I've won 2 things in the first 2 minutes of my day. Right. So awesome. That's the big thing for that one. Good. Train. We just challenged everyone to at least do 30 minutes of some kind of dedicated physical movement, whether that's, well, of course we would want everyone in the gym, right, but we know that's not always possible. So walking, yoga, doing a little bit of a workout at home, and 30 minutes. Yeah. So kind of thought behind that. So dedicating 30 minutes a day to you. Right? Taking care of you. 30 minutes of, like, even if you don't come to the gym, like we're closed on Sundays, go for a walk, right? Go do yoga with your spouse or your, like, kids or whatever. Like, go run around the playground for 30 minutes. Actually be active on the playground for 30 minutes with your kids. Like, that counts. Right. Right? Physical activity is so essential to human existence and the foundations of keeping yourself healthy that doing something daily is
a good thing. There's a lot of people like, well, you need 2 or 3 rest days. No, you don't. You don't need that. You can do CrossFit 5 to 6 days a week, so hard, intense workouts 5 to 6 days a week, and be fine. Now, some of us don't have the schedule or the ability to do that, and that's okay. So on those days you're not in the gym, you can do, like, you can get on YouTube and do yoga for free. There are free apps, the Down Dog Yoga app. You can go for a walk. You can go for a run. You can go to the rec center and go for a swim. You can go play with your kids, like I said. But that physical activity, it's you saying, I'm going to take time out of my day to care for the foundation of me, which is my physical being. Like, if my physical health is not good, then it's hard to have good mental health, good emotional health, good relational health, things like that. So taking 30 minutes out of your day to do that is just pure self-care. And it also, like, from a biochemical standpoint, like, if you're in a rut, physical movement can pull you out of the rut. And some of us have experienced this, like, you had a bad day. You come in the workout, in the middle of the workout, you're just like you are in an emotional state because you're allowing your body to process those emotions and chemicals and all that other stuff. And so it becomes a way to process things because you're doing something physical. Like, multitasking and task switching doesn't, like, really work. But if you're doing something physical and allowing your mind to do, you know, process through things, it's clearer, you can deal with it better, all of that stuff. It just has so many benefits, and 30 minutes a day is not that much, and it doesn't have to be intense every single time. Right. It just needs to be 30 dedicated minutes of get your heart rate up a little bit and take care of yourself.
Awesome. Yeah, sounds pretty easy. So then we challenged everyone to write down 3 gratitudes every day. We didn't get specific, like you have to do so many sentences or anything. Just write down 3 things that you're thankful for.
Yeah. So one of the foundations of a successful mindset and successful people in general is that they are very grateful for little things. Right? Like, it's easy to be great. Like, I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful for the kids. Like, those are the easy ones. Right. Now you've got to think, and I was talking to Amy about this the other day, like, you have to sometimes sit down and reflect on your day, either back at the end of the day or looking forward into the next day or looking at yesterday. Like, what were the little things that I took for granted in the moment that if I just stopped and thought about it, like, I'm pretty fortunate to have that. Right. You know? It is physiologically impossible to stay in a bad biochemical state, depressed, angry, frustrated, sad, whatever, right? And not that they're always bad. Sometimes those are normal responses, but when it dominates your day, you've got to be able to move out of that. And it's physiologically impossible for you to be in this state of, like, poor chemical balance and be grateful at the same time. Like, if you are actively telling your brain, I'm going to be grateful for these things, then it starts to change your body chemistry. It starts to change your brain chemistry, especially if you take a moment every time you write one down and actually connect to that thing, right? So, like, just something little, I'm grateful for, like, my truck. Like, I'm grateful that it runs. I'm grateful to have a vehicle. Like, taking a moment to understand, like, we take that for granted, and, like, I have one that works. And there are people out there that don't. And, like, it sounds like, you know, when we were kids, mom and dad, like, there are people starving in China that would eat that food, and it sounds kind of like that, but the idea is to pull it out of that negative sense and say, you know what, I'm grateful that I have this. And even if you're having the worst day, if you're grateful for things, it can help pull you out of that. If you start your day with that gratitude, you're going to go into the rest of your day. So it goes back, like, you get out of bed, you make your bed, you get your day going, and then take 5 minutes and write down 3 things you're grateful for. It doesn't even take 5 minutes. No. Write three things that you're grateful for. you've now started your day on such a positive note. It's going to be really hard to wreck your day.
Yeah.
So.
And I've actually seen that with you. Like this is something you've been doing well over the last year. Mm-hmm. And on the days where your day doesn't go boom, boom, boom with those habits, it is a little of a struggle for you that day. Mm-hmm. And I've definitely seen that. Cool. So our last one, which isn't like a challenge that we're doing daily, this one, and we haven't actually even thrown out our first challenge yet, but we're trying to get people to connect.
Right.
So for this challenge, we're just trying to get people to connect within the gym, with the people that they do this part of their life with every day. Mm-hmm. But why is connecting so important?
Right. So the first 4 habits, right? Eat, sleep, train, think, all have to do with like quality of life while you're here.
Right.
Right? Like, am I healthy? Do I stay away from the doctor? Things like that. The connect piece has to do with longevity. It connects into quality of life for sure. Like if I have good relationships, life is way more enjoyable, right? But all of the studies that they've done, when they looked at people who made it to 100 years old or beyond that, the only connecting point that was common across the board was that they had deep, meaningful relationships beyond their central family, right? So like we are going to have deep, meaningful relationship with our spouses, with our kids, sometimes with our parents even. Beyond that, because eventually, unfortunately, we will lose those people. And like as we grow, like those connections change. Having deep, meaningful relationships outside of that, like for whatever reason in the human psyche and the human physiology, makes us want to live longer. Like we may not feel like it mentally, mm-hmm. but it's the connecting point. Like we always hear the stories about, you know, how'd you make it to 100? Well, I had a glass of whiskey and 2 pounds of bacon every day, and I smoked a cigar. And then the flip side, you know, you talk to somebody and like, well, I worked every day of my life until I was 100, and I ate, you know, nothing but vegetables and lean meat, and like led the perfect life. Like, but both of them are now 105 years old.
Right.
So, okay, what's that about? And what the connecting point was is, did you have deep, meaningful relationships outside of your central family? The central family is a huge part of that. Mm-hmm. But those are easier relationships to have. They're not always easier to maintain, but they're there. So having that, so like when the central family relationships get contentious or start to crumble, having support outside of that, because you've got deep, meaningful relationships with people who are willing to support you in your decision, call you out on your crap, mm-hmm. things like that, becomes so important to the longevity of human life. So if we're gonna push off the nursing home, we have to do the first 4 really well. If we're gonna make it to 90 and 100, then or beyond, then you've got to have those outside relationships.
Right.
So.
Well, yeah. So we challenged everyone to do this for 60 days, mm-hmm. Because that's how long it takes to build a habit. Some people say 21, some say, but 60 days seems to be like the. There's
kind of a break point. Yeah. The research shows that like you can start the formations of new habits in 21 days. By about 90, they've just become rote. They're just like, you just do it, you don't think about it. Mm-hmm. So 60 days gives us enough time to not just really build that into our day, but start to understand and appreciate the power that those little things have in our day.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Awesome. So if you haven't joined the challenge yet, there's still time. You can still do that. Mm-hmm. Especially because my team needs to win. So.
Not going to happen.
And if you're someone that's not a part of the gym and you're like, I think I could do those things, like, then do it. Like,
yeah.
Challenge yourself to.
Yeah. It's a simple challenge, and it's a simple challenge for a couple of reasons. One, there's only one thing per category that you really have to do. and they're all very simple. And the way this challenge is set up is if you miss something on one day, it's not a big deal. Like you're not out of the challenge. You just don't get the point for that day. So you get the chance to check the others off, and then the next day you get an opportunity to try again.
Right.
So it's 60 opportunities to start to build those habits with reward tied to it. But if you miss it, it's not that big of a deal.
Well, and if you miss it, I think you take that as like a learning opportunity. Like, why did I miss it? Why did I not work out today? Or what caused me to not even think about writing down my gratitudes, and how can I change that for next time? So
right. So all right. So that's it. That's the excellence challenge. If you guys haven't signed up yet, like she said, there's still time to sign up. Other than that, I think that's it.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll see you guys next time.